I'm the Nordic Walking, or a Nordic Walking instructor that delivers sessions through the Cancer Support Network, and I also deliver them to general population, amongst many other things that I do in the world of physical activity. I'm an absolute advocate of the role of physical activity in one's wellness, the health of the country, health of populations, and very much about being proactive rather than reactive when it comes to health, at whatever stage that someone's life cycle is or medical condition is. Started this passion probably in primary school when I won the Health Education Award. We had to design a poster. I think I would have been what is now called year 5 or 6, or junior 3, junior 4 when I was at school. And then ever since then, I've gone on, I've studied sport and sports medicine, GP referral, obesity, all sorts of stuff, worked in public health, and mostly worked for myself. And I've done exercise, so very much brain and brawl, doing on the ground, delivering the sessions, as well as sort of the strategy, theory and medical side of things, although I'm not a clinician, and that's really important to make that clear. I am not a clinician. So I'm going to talk to you today about wellness and walking. And wellness has got lots of different definitions, but it's looking at every aspect of somebody's health. So it's about a state of well-being, a state of health, really, and that's looking at your physical health, mental health, social health, environmental health, all these different aspects. And walking is the other aspect of what we're talking about, which is literally putting one foot in front of the other. And if we were to take it to my other walk of life, literally and metaphorically, which is athletics, walking must always have one foot on the floor. So when you see that very odd action in the Olympics when they're race walking, but the main rule is they must have one foot on the floor in contact at all times. Whereas running, although it doesn't look like it, there are times when both feet are off the floor as that exchange happens. So walking is literally one foot in front of the other. And add to that is Nordic Walking, which is a little bit of the focus of today, and which is how I've got my connection with this Cancer Support Network. And Nordic Walking is originally from Norway, and it was designed for the Olympic skiing team so that they could train in the summer months when there's no snow. So it looks like cross-country skiing, but nothing on your feet. So that's its origins, and that's at high-level Olympic bodies, shall we say, and fitness. But it's right down to general population, to medical conditions, to people with joint problems that could not normally walk. And the beauty of the poles is they keep you upright and make your body work very evenly. So if our right knee is dodgy, then the body compensates and will then walk more, put more pressure through our left side, or take off the right hip and put more through the left hip, and everything will be out of sync. And then all your muscles and ligaments, everything is slightly stretched or slightly shortened. So the importance is about keeping everything equal. And if we're not equal, apart from this damage to muscles and ligaments and everything getting stronger, perhaps in the wrong body position, you've also got to think about the posture. So the poles hold you upright. If we're in collapsed posture, which generally, because everything we do is forward facing now, be it we're crunched up on our phones, on a laptop, hi Joe, then our shoulders are rounded, everything's there, but more importantly, it's crushing your vital organs. So then food, etc., is sitting in places and not being moved along. Your breathing capacity is far less. So we need to get everybody as upright and as open as possible. And by using the poles enables that to happen. And unusually, it feels easier, but you're actually working harder. So you're engaging more muscles than if you were doing normal walking, but it somehow feels easier, and then enables you to walk either that bit further or that bit faster than you would without even realizing it. And consequently, if you were looking from a weight loss point of view, you're using more calories and you're strengthening more muscles. You're working the back of your arms, which will become more important as the sun comes out and we can all wear our sundresses. And so it's an overall body one. It also enables you to walk correctly. So lots of people, particularly as they get older, shuffle, and particularly if you're not moving much. So it's about landing on the heel, rolling through the foot, and then pushing off the ball of the foot, which then engages your glute muscles, your bottom muscles, and helps you push along. Now, those of you that have not been before, Nikki and Sherry, I don't want it to sound scary. It really, really is suitable for all ages, all health conditions, all stages. We've got a chappie who's started, it was about 8 weeks ago, old gentleman through this network. And when he first came, he would park with his blue badge in the disabled bit, and then he'd shuffle and not really want to walk anything without assistance. He's now walking around. Told me yesterday he's walking up into town without his walker or without his stick. So that's a huge lifestyle benefit to him, and we see that all the time. One lovely member of our group, who bless him is up in the sky now, he went from not being able to walk very far, having to sit down, he's now, or was able to then walk 3 miles continuously. And sometimes, particularly if we walked at Virginia Water, we'd almost have to pull him back. He was going so quick. So that it really has a noticeable difference. And say with Keith, in the last, say, 6 weeks, he's probably been with us, 6, maybe 8 weeks maximum. The difference is huge. So big advocate of Nordic Walking. One of the very best things is it's truly social. So you can, and we very much can advocate for this, you are walking side by side. So we always choose venues that's got that space to enable this, so that you can chat away. And one of the big benefits of walking or exercising outside, whether it's Nordic walking, running, bike rides, whatever, is it's in the great outdoors. You never hear the great indoors, and there's a good reason for that. So the great outdoors has loads of benefits to your mental health as well. And it's good for your eyes, and it immediately causes a stress reduction because you're seeing far, and that rests the mind. So most of the stuff we do now is very much in a closed environment, whether it's sat in an office, obviously working from home if you're working, or otherwise we're just generally in our boxes, whether that's the car, your house, your workplace, or the hospital or medical appointments. It's boxes. So we don't see very far, and that's not good for us. So it's good to see as far as you can. Being outside, you're breathing in hopefully healthier air, unless you're walking right by the side of busy main roads, but that's important too. So there's lots of different factors. There's less risk of catching something from other people if that's a concern for yourself at any time. So there's loads of benefits of being outside. We get to see lovely views, some interesting views at other times, and a bit of fun, but that's really important. Another huge benefit is friendships have been built from this, and it's caused a change in day-to-day living, which is important. So Jo is one of our superstars, and from this group she then set up a WhatsApp group, and people now walk either on the days that I'm not there, and sometimes Jo's setting up walks 2-3 times a week in addition. So that's been a huge thing, because exercise does need to be, or movement needs to be, daily and regular. That's really, really important. So that's that. Let me just check I've got everything off my list on there. Sense of freedom, yeah, and also walking outside is deemed to be environmentally friendly. Obviously lots of us get in our cars to drive where we go to walk, but it is better than being in a gym, although there is benefits, that is important as well. So I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it's the only exercise. It's just there's loads of different factors. So why is it important to stay mobile? Lots of people know about like the sort of cardiovascular health benefits and even mental health, but the body was designed to move. We are a very inactive population, even though the sporty people. Sat downstairs with my husband, who will walk the dog every morning, and he'll go to the gym 2-3 times a week, and he'll run twice a week. But then the rest of the day, he is completely sedentary, and that is not good for his health. So unfortunately for him, he's married to me, so he's made to move at times. But it's really important. Your whole system, whole body is designed to move, and that affects your mental health and stuff that everyone's aware of. But it's also about your hormone balance. It's about the joints and the muscles keeping fluid. So if you think of like a tin that you've found in the back of a cupboard that's not been opened for many years, and then you go to move it, there's no movement, and then it goes like that, and probably the contents might fly everywhere or something like that. But it's important to know that we don't really want any of our joints to get so stiff like that, because then you avoid movement even more. So it becomes very much a catch 22. Your digestive system is very much dependent on you moving. If we are inactive, then food is in combination with eating less healthy foods and less fiber, but then the food is sitting in your colon. So it is designed, you've got something called peristalsis, where the muscles are going in and out to move the food along. If that is slowed down and then the food is sitting in bits of your colon, then it's causing damage, because it's causing irritation and inflammation where it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be there. It should be moving along. And then we start to get things like constipation. And obviously at the far end, it can be a contributory factor, very much so with certain cancers as well. The hormones, the lovely hormones that we all need, they are the essential part of life, and they very much are also dependent on movement and exercise to keep them regular. And every part of our body, those of you that did biology at school will know the term homeostasis. It's about keeping everything in this very tight band. So exercise helps that happen. It helps get the bad out of the system, whether that's food that needs to be excreted, dead cells, carbon dioxide, etc. It just gets everything out and pulls the good stuff in and gets the good stuff to every part of your body needs that. So it's really, really important. So what does physical activity do? It improves your mental, physical, social health. We know that. But what's its role in cancer prehab and cancer rehab? And I think the guidelines are the same, whether it's general population or people living with cancer at whatever stage that may be. And they are, well, actually, I'm going to see who knows what the guidelines are for exercise. Let's see if anybody knows. Joe, do you know what they are? No? Okay. Oh, you're muted.
Try that. Is it 30 minutes a day? I can't remember.
Yeah, so that's one way of doing it. Yeah, so you've got 150 minutes over a week of moderate activity. So that's something that gets you ever so slightly out of breath, but you can very much hold a conversation, but perhaps wouldn't be able to sing whilst doing. So that's one part of it. Anybody know any other components?
Trust me, you wouldn't want to hear me sing. Yeah, I'm doing that.
We'll mute you. So, Vicky, do you know?
No, but I know that there's the 10,000 steps rule, but that's not always possible for people that aren't very well.
Yeah. And it's, you know, these things are guidelines. It's not to the step, to the minute. And if you're doing 3,000 steps, but that's 3,000 steps more than you were doing before, then that's going to have a huge benefit to your health. So I think that's really important to understand. So you've got options with the physical activity or with movement, and that is to either choose to do moderate intensity minutes, and say the ideal is 150 minutes to 200, maybe even more, of moderate activity, or 75 to 90 minutes of vigorous activity. So that's something that is very much getting you out of breath, and that will achieve the same overall health benefits, whichever option you choose. So it's important to know you don't have to spend hours at a high level, but equally nor do you have to work out at a really high intensity level. The other component that is becoming more known about, and particularly with the rise of importance of like the falls program and menopause, is it's really, really important to do strength training. Really, really important. And that should be at least 3 times a week. You don't have to be going to the gym. You don't have to be doing heavy weights. You can start with a bottle of water, and literally, you know, this has got a tiny bit of water in. You can just, you know, put a bit more in each time you do it, and then do some form of resistance. You can use your body. You could use the resistance bands, which you may have used with your physios. That's really, really important. It strengthens the muscles, but it also strengthens the bones, and then your heart and everything else will become stronger because your whole body is stronger. Then it enables you to do other stuff. And again, this carries over into day-to-day activity, quality of life, as well as your recovery from treatments. So I'm going to show you a slide in a minute of a project that's been done up in Greater Manchester and Cheshire. And I'm going to just see if I can be very clever. Now, bear with me in terms of sharing screens. This is the one. Hopefully this will. Okay, so I can't. Oh yeah, I can see you now. So this is a project that's happening. Can you all see this, by the way? Can you see it? Yeah, marvelous. Yep. So this is, let's just make it a little bit bigger. So these are people that have been given the diagnosis of cancer. And it's about them being put on a 12-week exercise program. The results are, in my eyes, are brilliant. So those patients that were getting access to supported exercise programs, which were a combination of resistance work and cardio work, have spent 36 hours less in hospital, 10 hours less in critical care. And then the time that they stayed in hospital was much shorter. So then that's actually released over a year's worth of ward beds and 146 critical care beds, which then ultimately the project more than covers itself. The bed days released per prehab patient cover the costs setting it up, the whole program. This is staffing, facilities, everything. So when we're bidding, Vicky, this is something we could put in there for more funding, but it makes such a difference. Yeah, one of the particular cancers that they focused on here was colorectal. But it's made such a difference to those people's lives and to other people's lives who were in the waiting list in terms of accessing treatment. So I'm going to take this off now. Now I'll try to. There we go. Thank you very much for your patience with my lack of IT skills in certain factors. But being inactive is a big risk factor for somebody having a cancer diagnosis for 13 to 14 different types of cancer. It's traditionally been a list of 13, and more recently they're considering adding prostate cancer onto that list as one that can be prevented by regular physical activity. So when someone's past that stage, then it's what can we do now? It's not the death sentence. It's just a different way of living, not one you choose, but it's a different way of living. And as Julia says, it's not a club she would have chosen to be a member of, but it's where we are, and it's about what we can do to mean that the treatment that we receive is more effective, and our recovery rate is better, and also the side effects from the treatments are less so. And I think there's quite a lot of evidence on that, and there's lots of research papers that you can find online, or I can send you them. But it is important that it's that combination of cardiovascular and strength training that has the highest outcomes. So I think that's really, really important. That can be whilst you're brushing your teeth, you're standing on one leg. Yeah, so while the kettle's boiling or something like that, you could do like 5 little 1 foot off the floor and do like little knee bends. Hi, Julia. And there's so much variation. You can use just put your hands up against your wall, take a couple of steps back, and then just sort of press ups in and out. You can, like I'm on a chair now, that's, if I can bend it down, you can see it's got these arms, losing my words. So you can just literally put yourself up and down slightly. You can just do one, and over time you build that up. It's not about, I can't do the 8 or 10. It was going to have the same effect. If that's really easy for somebody, it's not going to have much difference to them. So exercise is very personal. As I say to the group, when we're doing our stretches at the end, you can't stretch somebody else's legs or bottom or anything else like that. Anything I do only affects my body, and the same with everybody else in the group. So it's what you're doing to help you. In addition to doing your day-to-day exercise, there's something very inward now with this activity snacks, and that's because we're sat down most of the time, which comes back to the little things I was saying. So when you're brushing your teeth, when you've got the kettle's boiling, that's when you do these. I'll just do 5 minutes, or just do 5 repetitions of this. When you feel more comfortable, if you've got stairs in your house, you could just go up and down stairs a couple of times extra. All these little things help. And it's about not going crazy, because that would be the worst thing to do, is go and do a silly amount and then you're tired out for 3 days, or you've caused yourself an injury. So please be sensible. So recent research, as say, has looked at that regular exercise can help prevent 13 to 14 different cancer. And that's done by 4 main factors or physiological changes in the body. One is to reduce estrogen levels and the sex hormones, which if we are overweight or if we are inactive, we have a higher level of those circulating. So we want to keep those at a controlled level, particularly estrogen. They reduce the metabolic hormones as well, particularly insulin and insulin factor 1. The 2 more major ones is actually reducing inflammation and excess fat cells. So it's reducing chronic inflammation, which is a real trigger in terms of cancer cells. So if we reduce that, 6 weeks of exercise has a really, really noticeable, very significant in terms of research factors of chronic inflammation, which is known to increase cancer. So it makes such a difference. It really, really does. And then the other one is actually increases the immune function of the cells that you have and your immune system within your body. So what we're wanting to do is increase your T cells, your NK cells, your neutrophils, which are all the different things that are attacking, that spot bad cells in the body. And that could be from a virus free to a cancerous cell or any other medical condition. So we need to get rid of those, be able to spot them. So if we have more cells that are doing that, and then for lack of a better word, brighter and stronger, then they're more able to do that. It also, by being regularly active, if you are in the stage of receiving treatment, it increases your response to chemotherapy. And if I use this, which isn't designed for this is a physio tool, but if we think that a strong cell would look a bit like this, but then be rounded on the outside, by your blood being stronger, more blood and oxygen going, then it can actually get into the center and the structure is strong. So the chemotherapy can go more into the center of the cells and be more effective. If a cancer cell, and it's in an inactive person, then this all looks like this. And then these cells are leaky. So there's some quite clear diagrams, much better than my one with my hands and physio tool. But then stuff isn't, the chemo isn't getting to the center and stuff's leaking out. So then it's far less effective and you've got far more side effects. So we want the medicine to be able to get to where it needs to and not leak out. And we want the strong cells in there to be more of them and them to be super strong. So they're reducing the side effects and hopefully significantly improving the outcome. That's what we're looking for. So comes back to this combined resistance, so making the body stronger and the cardiovascular. So we're getting the oxygen and the blood moving around, and in that is the cells and the hormones are all then far more regulated. So that's really, really important. If someone's currently living with cancer, exercise can reduce the tumor growth and the spread. Now, unfortunately, research funding tends to come in 5 to 10 year blocks. So it doesn't enable long-term studies in humans, unfortunately, because realistically, they need about a 20-year study and very few organisations will cover that. However, in mice, which have been shown to physiologically respond in a very similar way, the outcome is 67%. That's the difference. So that's a noticeable, it's definitely worth following those guidelines based on that percentage, and that is the reduction in the tumour growth and the spread of it. In terms of increasing response, we just spoke about what they call the vascular efficiency. So that's about chemo getting in and getting the strong cells in and their strength. And it's bizarrely, or perhaps not bizarrely, but it's most beneficial for those with compromised immune systems. So perhaps people would have thought previously that they'd be the most vulnerable and at higher risk with the exercise, but actually they're people it's most benefit to, and the people who are less likely to have engaged in any form of exercise because of fear. And also go back 10-20 years, there was real sort of concern that if you exercise, you're increasing the blood flow and oxygen, and therefore you're increasing the spread of cancer or any other condition that's of a similar physiological nature. So it's really important to kind of be aware of the latest research. A little bit of what's in the papers is true, a little bit of what's in the papers is very much not true, and there to sell stories and make money, etc. So where could you go to get some more information? You can obviously ask me at the end of here, and also you feel free to send me questions. There's a couple of good web pages that I would recommend. One is movingmedicine.ac.uk. So a big movement now within the medical world is something called lifestyle medicine. So traditionally, and probably still sadly the case, doctors spent between no time and 6 to 12 hours on physical activity in their whole medicine degree. So they actually have very little knowledge. They know, and they'll obviously know from just general information, that it's better to advise their patients to be active across the whole population, but they don't know the specifics and they don't know the information. There's a big move led in America, but there is a lifestyle medicine UK as well. So definitely worth looking up lifestyle medicine as a general search. There's an American organisation and a UK one, movingmedicine.ac.uk, and then the other one is the American College of Sports Medicine, and their guidelines, again, they've all got their guidelines on there for cancer patients, which are, as I say, the same as for general population. An additional benefit of the resistance is it's particularly beneficial for those with lymphedema. The outcomes are really positive in there. When you're deciding what exercise to do, you obviously need to take advice from your specialists if you can get to see them. I know for some people that's a huge challenge. Your GP probably less likely to have the knowledge. Hopefully your physios, your nurses will be the more knowledgeable ones. And if you're lucky enough to be part of a program that is exercise rehab, prehab, then that's brilliant. You've got your specialist, you've got your oncologist. Big advice really is to sit less, move more, but be very much gradual in it. It may be, if you're not active at all now, that you just say, right, I'm going to walk to the lamppost nearest to my house every day for a week. And then you'll probably, when you're out, you might get talking to somebody, or you'll think, I could go to the next one. Don't get too carried away. That's really, really important. And also refuel and keep hydrated. And obviously, should this sun stay, then need to be sensible about sun safety and not dehydrating, as well as like sun cream, sun hats, appropriate clothing just to keep you cool. And many layers in a little rucksack, because it can all change in one walk. I think that's everything that I've got to say. The only other thing was just to say our Nordic Walking, we've had some brilliant outcomes from a clinical point of view, day-to-day living, as well as we mentioned earlier, sort of the friendships and the continued walking and change in lifestyle. So I think that's enough of me yucking away at you. So over to you guys. Have you